Good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday. It is the 24th of September and it is Lessons in Leadership, time for Lessons in Leadership. I am Mary Gregory and I am absolutely delighted for our 44th episode to welcome Thomas Power. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Mary. I like being number 44. I think that isn't that Lewis Hamilton's number? I want to say that is Lewis Hamilton, but I don't know.
We should do the numerology around it.
I like fours because they add up to 8, and 8 is infinity. So I like episode 4.
Oh, yeah, I like that too. I love infinity. Great. Well, really, really lovely to have you here. And I feel like we've had Penny here. I've also had TJ. I somehow need to get Hannah and Ross in as well before I finish this series, because it has become a bit of a Power family show in that respect.
Good. I didn't know you had Penny and TJ already.
I have indeed. But really great to have you. And I feel honoured to have you here because from my perspective, I regard you almost as the king of networking. You are so good at connecting people and getting people together. And I know that's not just all that you do. You earn your living through all sorts of different means, consulting to boards, being a non-executive director, all those sorts of things. But you are.
It's the thing I love most, Mary. I definitely love networking, connecting people more than anything. I've loved it since I was a tiny child.
What does it do for you then when you connect somebody?
Well, it's something to do with the keywords. I've got very sensitive ears. I'm very sensitive to sound and light. I'm very sensitive to everything, Penny would say. But when I hear words that people say, and I listen very carefully to what people say, I think, oh, I know someone who'd be interested in that. Oh, I know who you should talk to about that. And I've been able to do it since I was 6, 7 years old.
Yeah.
And so I listen, and then what it does for me is that when I make the connection, I think I've added something. I've added some value to their life that they wouldn't otherwise have found.
Yeah. So it's
because of one word. What's that?
Word. I was going to say it's meaningful for you, but you base it on one word.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I listen very carefully for the words you say, and I'm listening ever so carefully for the words you say, and then I think, oh, Mary said that word. Based on that word, I should connect with Joe or Penny or Sarah or Susan. Then I make the connection on WhatsApp or Twitter, primarily on WhatsApp, so it's one-to-one. And then I say, Mary said this, Joe said that. I think because you're both on the same wavelength, if you like, perhaps the conversation is in order.
Wow. And
a lady who's just joined BIP100, a Russian lady, Elena Ponomarieva, has just joined, and she's doing a PhD in community building. Oh. And she's in Cyprus. And what she's discovered is she has this audio system that listens for the key words that you say. And she can actually now tell you your emotional relationship score when you're speaking and where you have emotions in common with another human being. And so the reason I wanted her to join BIP100 is so that she could say, because there's 100 people now to join.
Yes.
She said, these are the top 10 who you should meet first.
Yes.
Because you've got matching emotions and matching sounds and matching keywords. And now that can be done by a machine. So I'm very excited about that because it's going from manual to automated.
That sounds incredibly powerful. What I'm hearing about you, though, and it's you I'm interested in today, Thomas, is that you almost have that machine internally. It's almost like you have a filing cabinet that when you hear a certain key word, it's like your own internal Rolodex brings up, you need to speak to so-and-so.
Yes, I do. It is some kind of software, I guess, Rolodex, whatever label you want to give it. But I find I'm listening for the key words so intently that as soon as I hear them, I can pin them down to a dog, a town, a location, a country, a place, a year, a bar, a restaurant, a city, a beach, and go, oh, I was talking to Susan in Bali about that back in 2007.
Incredible. Yeah.
What a
talent. That is a real talent. It's not just a skill, it's a talent.
I think Penny would say it's autism.
Maybe, who knows? I'm not in that space to diagnose that sort of thing, but it's certainly a talent to be able to do that.
I really relate to that movie. Is it Rain Man with?
Oh yes, with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I really relate to that, where he could find the names in the telephone book.
Oh yes. So
yeah, I really
like
relate to that. I'm obviously not as skilled as that, but I could relate to that.
Yeah, incredible. Okay, well, your journey has not been straightforward. I mean, I think why I'm really pleased to have you here is that you and Penny established Ecademy back in the day, of which I was a member. I became a Black Star member, and I'm still in touch with many of the people that I met through Ecademy. And I think what I love about you establishing it was way before LinkedIn and all this social media and modern technology, and yet it was an online virtual network. I know we met up in person as well, but we met up virtually most of the time. That must have been such a roller coaster journey. I mean, to have established a multi-million-pound business like that and then to see it decline as well must have been heartbreaking. Just wondered what your thoughts and reflections are on that now. I know we are some years on from that, but it still was a phenomenal thing to achieve and a huge learning curve for you and Penny as leaders, I guess.
It was a magical time, Mary. It was 14 years of magic, from 1998 to 2012. In that time, I had 14,000 one-to-ones.
I feel tired at you just saying.
I met 1,000 people face to face every year in 60 different countries.
Yeah.
And so I really did know the members. I really did know the people, and I really think, unlike Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, I consider them to be systems. This was much more of a emotional network.
Yes.
This was about intimacy. This was about trust and friendship and depth and really knowing about people and caring about people and connecting people. And so when it was wiped out by these free networks, primarily Facebook is what wiped out Ecademy in 2007. I think when it finally declined in 2012, we went into bereavement like the loss of a child.
Yes.
Because it was literally like our fourth child. And I would say recovery from that loss, that death, if I can call it that, because it was like a death. And it was like the death of a 14-year-old child. Imagine losing a 14-year-old daughter or
yes.
son.
Yes.
Because it was like that for us. I would say I think Penny recovered sooner than me, but I personally didn't recover until 2020. So I was in grief or bereavement for 8 years. And then it wasn't until, and it was Hannah who came up with BIP100, not me and not Penny. It was Hannah who conceived it, our daughter. It wasn't until she said, why don't you do this? Now COVID is here. Why don't you do this? You'll love this. Just keep it small, 100 people. All my joy has returned.
Yes, because it ties in with your passion, which is about connecting people and the commitment to have 1,000 one-to-ones a year. That really takes something.
It's very special. And the reason I called the book A Friend in Every City in 2006 was because every airport I got off the plane, someone would meet me at the airport and take me back to their home. And I would stay in their home. And it's very special to stay in someone's private home because you only do that for special friends.
Yes.
Most of us only do that for special friends. But to be picked up at the airport and taken home and then invited to go around this city or this town, wherever I was, and then meet all their members. And in actual fact, that was the big lesson. Whilst Ecademy was 650,000 people, it was actually 5,000 clubs of about 150 people. So it had this big image, but it was lots and lots of small clubs, lots and lots of small groups. So whether I was in Mechelen in Belgium, Mechelen's town I've never heard of, I'd go there and meet about 50 or 100 people. And I would adore them. They would adore me. They all loved Ecademy. It was it was a very special experience. I went to Mumbai. There were 480 people waiting outside the hotel to shake my hand. I went to Singapore. There are 800 people waiting outside the hotel to shake my hand. Same happened in Sydney, Auckland, Brisbane, Sao Paulo, Los Angeles, New York. It happened all over the world. And it was the most remarkable experience and a most remarkable sense of belonging, sense of community, and sense of achievement, that we were connecting all these people and building this global family. So physically and mentally, for your body and mind, it was magical, absolutely magical. So losing that, which is similar to the experience you get with a child. So losing that after 14 years was tragic. And as I say, it took a long time to recover from. But thanks to Hannah,
you've now got BIP100. I mean, what I'm hearing is the full immersion, you know, mind, body, spirit, the whole of you was immersed in Ecademy. So no wonder the loss was so massive.
It was my whole life.
Yeah.
It was my whole life. I thought about it 24 hours a day. I slept with it in my mind 24 hours a day. I was on planes every week. I was on planes 3 weeks out of 4 weeks. I'd have a week at home and then I'd be away for 3 weeks. And I'd go to all these different countries and cities all over the world. It's lots of little islands I never heard of.
Yes.
And just meet 20, 30, 50, 60, 10 people. And it was truly remarkable.
Yes, yes.
The kids thought we had a travel company.
How did you balance then? I mean, talk about work. You're so immersed in it. How did you balance that with your family? Because you've got an amazing family. They're incredible.
Well, we took them on a lot of trips. We took them to Asia. We took them to America. We took them all around Europe. We took them on a lot of trips. And so it's quite funny now, because actually now they're all grown up in their 20s, late 20s. All these people still know them, and now they follow their material. Well, Ross's blockchain stuff, Hannah's personal branding stuff, TJ's mental health stuff. They follow all that. So it's quite weird that these kids that have been networking since they were like 2 years old are now still in touch with those same people they shook hands with when they were tiny tots.
Yes, yes. And they're all running their own phenomenal businesses as well as entrepreneurs. So they've certainly inherited the entrepreneurial spirit.
And they have, and they're all building communities in their own particular niches.
Yes.
And they've all got their own followings, and they're all supporting people, connecting people, helping people. And it's so weird that they have conversations with people that when they were tiny, now that they're adults, where they're considered to be, I don't know, seriously represented from a tiny tot in what seems to me like a heartbeat.
Yes. Well, I think that's part of the irony of parenthood, isn't it? It feels like it's taking forever when you're in it, but once it's gone, it's like, my goodness, how did they grow up?
Yeah, because I think as a parent, you're always in your 20s. You never leave your 20s.
But your kids suddenly get into their 20s and you've got to think, well, where am I?
You're suddenly in your late 50s, but you still feel like you're in your 20s.
Yes.
And then these little tiny tots are now big. And then I look at all these people on screen, because I try and do 100 Zooms every month. I now do 1,000 Zooms a year, as opposed to 1,000 flights a year or 1,000 meetings a year. And so I still keep in touch with everyone around the world. But what I've realized is that you can't talk to more than 1,000 people a year, even on Zoom.
Yes.
But actually, to speak to everyone in my network on LinkedIn, these 30,000, they were the 30,000 subscribers to Ecademy, the paying subscribers out of the 650,000. It's actually going to take me 30 years to talk to them all.
Yes.
Amazing. And it's just like, wow. I mean, I did the work, I did the miles, I did the one-to-ones, I shook the hands. I've been to some incredible places, some incredible events. I mean, I have really lived it. And so I guess the big discovery is you only have a capacity to meet about 1,000 people a year. So in your whole life. If I can get through to 2050, which is my goal, if I can get through to 2050, then I will have probably met about 50,000 people by then.
Gosh.
Actually met them.
I think that's unusual. I don't think there's, I don't know many people who could claim they've met 1,000 people in a year. So you are a force to be reckoned with from that point of view, Thomas. And to make that, it's not just about you meeting them, because I've experienced having a one-to-one with you. I remember being a member of Ecademy and Black Star, having my one-to-one. It's the way you connect with people. So it's not just like, oh yeah, let's have a quick coffee. You really connect with people.
I do,
it's a real talent. Yeah. Real talent.
In a matter of seconds as well.
Yeah. Incredible.
But I've got so used to it. It's I don't know, you call it a talent. I think it's, I don't know, whatever it is. It's something that I was given, some kind of task I was given to do on planet Earth. Who knows?
Yes. It's part of who you are and part of what you contribute to the world. But I want to come back to BIP100, because what I'm hearing is BIP100 is almost like the phoenix rising out of the flames of Ecademy.
Yes.
And that what that's sparked for you is that it's reignited your passion around connecting, and you're loving it.
Yes.
So I also want to talk about love as well, because we had someone on a couple of weeks ago, Ryan Hartley, talking about how important it is that we're heart connected and that we're love connected. And certainly what I experienced in my contact with you and with Penny is just the fact that you're very heart-centered. And when I've been to your events, there's something almost magical that connects people in that way. So tell us a bit more about how you are going about establishing BIP100. And I might flag that BIP stands for business is personal. So it's the fact that, you are your business. We all are our business. We're all our own leaders. Leadership is personal. So it's actually, how do you go about establishing a community of 100 people where we're really all there with our hearts?
I think the thing is, Mary, since if you go back to the late 1970s, early 1980s, when Mrs. Thatcher came in and Ronald Reagan came in, and we've had 40, probably 50 years of technology foisted upon us, and hundreds, thousands of companies foisted upon us. Companies are obsessed with performance and results and the share price. Every chief executive is paid on her or his ability to move that share price, and everything is about results and performance. And whilst I think those things are important, I think people want to belong to a company. Because now we know that people put 90,000 hours of their life into a company or into a business or into a career. I think you have to make those 90,000 hours very, very intimate, very, very personal. And you spend 90,000 hours asleep, you spend 90,000 hours working. It's got to be a really, really good experience. It's got to be really personal. And it's not just that business is personal, it's that the experience of working with your suppliers, your clients, your peers inside the firm, your shareholders if you're publicly listed. It's got to be very, very intimate and rich and deep to hold your attention.
Yes.
And if it's not, you'll just drift away. And so we put a massive amount of effort into the interviewing cycle to see people. Do they have expertise? Do they have values that match ours? And if they have values and expertise and they match ours, they're probably the right profile. But my experience, having now done over 1,000 interviews, is there's very, very few people who believe that business is personal. Right. And I would say most people believe that business is about money, or about results, or about a share price. Yes. Or about the delivery of a product. To us, business is family.
Yes.
It's friendship, it's support, it's relationship, it's care, it's depth, it's intimacy, it's life. And so we're very choosy how we go about finding the right people. And you might not realize it, Mary, but you're one of that type of people, because you're doing this, just doing these kind of interviews on your show illustrates your values.
Yes.
And Penny and I believe that we're moving to values-based businesses.
Yes.
Not just based on the product or the price or the payment plan or the quality or the warranty. We think people are going to be choosing their suppliers or their clients based on the values that match. Yes. And that's why we think if it's based on values, it's very personal. Yes. Because values are unique to every person. Everyone has their own unique makeup of values, what they believe in. And therefore,
I also wonder if it's beyond values, though, as well. There's something about wanting to make some sort of contribution to the world that's beyond yourself, which is almost absolutely your values need to be aligned in terms of, you know, who you are as the person to join this community. But it's about not just about feeding myself, it's about feeding the world almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure whether it's Emerson or Edison, but about your contribution helping one life sleep better. There's a poem about that, but
yes,
both of us have always wanted people to be better off as a result of knowing us, and we don't mean better off financially, although it could be that, but better off because you have richer contacts, richer network, richer experience, richer life as a result of being in our presence or our company or inside our community.
Yes.
And so we're all contribution based, but I think companies are performance based, and I would like them to be contribution based.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the companies are really struggling with their climate plans, because they don't know what to do. You know, what do we do? Electric, become vegans, have an electric car, don't use planes. They don't know what, they can't align a climate plan with their products and their values. So they're struggling. And as a result, you're seeing a mess really around the globe. And that's an example where the company hasn't been able to align their values with their contribution, with their share price.
Yeah.
All of those things need to be aligned.
Yeah.
And that hasn't entered the boardroom yet. It is entering it, but your share price, your values, and the products and services that you deliver, they've all got to be connected.
Yes, yes. I mean, you do a lot of work with some big companies. Yeah. So what would you say would be one step they could take that would move them in the direction of aligning those different elements of themselves?
Wow, it's such a big question. Such a big question. One step.
Well, the first thing they could do, maybe the simplest or the easiest thing they could do.
I think one of the first things the board members could do would be, first of all, to understand what their values are, what their beliefs are, with one another around the boardroom table, and see how their priorities compare. Yes. What's important to them, and then discuss those with their top executives, top managers, their top leaders, and see if they're aligned.
Yes.
Because I suspect they're not aligned. Unfortunately, I think if you focus on performance and share price, you blind yourself to the organization.
Okay. Say more about that.
Well, I think focus blinds people. I think the word focus blinds and pushes. By focusing entirely on the capital markets, by focusing entirely on your results, I think you can have a company and have no people. They're just there collecting their payment.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of cold companies. I visit a lot of cold companies. They're cold. They're not warm. They're not united. They're not movements. They're not communities. They're not clubs. They're just machines.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what people want to be part of. I think people want to be part of a movement, a community, a club. And I think that's why you're seeing the next generation pushing back against that performance at all costs, results at all costs, share price at all costs. And I admire the next generation who are pushing back against it, because they're right.
Yes.
People want to be part of values-based communities, as you rightly say, making a contribution. It's hard when you look at all these technology companies, of which there are now hundreds, thousands, and you think, what's their contribution outside of the device they deliver to you, or outside of the software they deliver to you? Why can't I see it? Why can't I see their contribution? Why can I only see waste?
Yes.
Why can I only see a bad exhaust, if you like, behind that organization?
Yes.
And I don't think that can go on. I'm not against performance, and I'm not against results, and I'm not against share prices, but I am against how it's done.
Yes. I'm hearing it's about injecting the soul back into business.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And reconnecting. I feel like, business and human beings to a degree have got disconnected from the system that we're all a part of. We're all part of the natural world, and yet we're disconnected from it. Hence,
you are right.
Hence the climate crisis. And we've got to get ourselves back connected somehow.
I think that's because jobs have become utilitarian and based on tasks.
Yes.
And now jobs are basically the completion of tasks on pages and pages, or in software.
Yes.
And everything is task-based, tick box-based. And as a result of that, there's been a disconnect between the person and the company. I go to this company, I provide my labor, they give me some money, I complete these tasks.
Yeah.
There's no intimacy, there's not a lot of trust. Right. And as a result, they switch off, but they complete the tasks.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's very, very hard. When I talk to a lot of young people with Penny in colleges and schools and universities, they don't trust any politicians. They don't trust any chief executives. They don't trust any companies. They don't trust any boards of directors. They don't trust any institutions. In fact, they don't trust any information they receive from any source whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think that's the price you pay when you focus on performance.
Yeah.
You create no trust.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tragedy.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're coming to the end of our time, Thomas. Can you believe it or not?
Wow.
And we're kind of at quite a poignant, serious note here. So, we're through that. We're not completely through the pandemic. Who knows what's around the corner? But we're certainly out of lockdown for the time being. In these continuing turbulent times where we may feel more disconnected, where organizations have still got a lot of work to do in terms of really connecting with people and connecting with the planet, what's your final words that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I think organizations need to focus much more on community building.
Yeah.
Whether that be with clients or suppliers or members of staff or shareholders. I also think organizations need to have some kind of climate plan for the company and for the employees. I think everyone needs a climate plan at home, and everyone needs a climate plan at work.
Yes.
And I think people have got to give real thought to that.
Yes.
Beyond just having an electric vehicle or becoming plant-based or not using a plane. I think those are helpful.
Yeah.
But it's not taken seriously yet. And so I think probably the best thing to do is to build a community inside the organization that's focused on climate. So you identify the people inside your organization who really want to make a difference.
Yes.
In this space. And by doing so, you'll identify the people who really want to evolve and improve and change that organization.
Well, you're identifying leaders, aren't you?
You're identifying leaders, and
Yeah.
find the next generation of leaders who want to evolve that company beyond just performance and results, and much more community, values-based and community-based growth.
Yes, yes. This has been fantastic, Thomas. I'm kind of blown away. It's been a really, really deep conversation, not at all what I was expecting. And I hope everyone who's been watching today has enjoyed it and got as much value out of it as I have. I'm going to need to bring us to a close, but thank you so, so much for a really impactful and powerful conversation, Thomas.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Oh, an absolute pleasure. And to those of you watching, do please leave your comments in the box below. We do respond to all of them. And if you're watching Catcher, of course, please leave your comments also, and we will respond to those too. We have the wonderful William Buse next week, who is a strategic consultant. So he's going to come and talk to us about his approach to business and his approach to strategy. And he's also got some amazing views on the state of the world as well. So it'd be quite a nice build on what you've spoken about today, Thomas. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.